today I am so excited to introduce Nicole Cramer. If you do not know who she is, I am surprised by that because she is so passionate about teaching sales and money mindset to entrepreneurs. She's the #1 award-winning account executive and a super successful sales coach. She lives in the big town of Los Angeles, California with her boxer puppy Cassie, and I am excited to chat with her today about sales. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Jill. I'm so excited to be here because if there's anything I love talking about, it's sales. And I know a lot of people don't love it. And I love to have a conversation around it so that they can warm up to it. Because to be a business owner, you got to know how to sell.
For sure. So I think we should just kick it off right there because I know so many of us struggle with sales. Some of us even dread it, but sales can be fun.
Mm. Not only can be, it is. It
I love
is.
that.
And I understand where people are at with how they feel about it because that was part of my journey. And that's why I feel so passionate about helping people understand that it doesn't have to be this big, scary thing. And this word that we all use, I'm going to say it, even though it's not a real word. I don't want to be salesy because I used to use it and I understand what that means to people. And what it's doing really is it's standing in the way of what they really want to do to help people. And when we start to really break down the fact that we're letting sales be the hurdle and be the thing in between what we are passionate about and what people need from us, then we are available to start seeing it differently. And what I like to tell people, selling is serving.
I love that. I totally agree. I think
Yeah.
when you switch your perspective, then
Mhm.
that makes it so much easier because then you're not feeling super salesy.
Right. Right. Well, and one of my favorite things to remind people is when you are feeling salesy, when you're like, I don't want to be pushy and aggressive, you're making it about you. You're making yourself the centerpiece of this, and that's not why you started a business, right? I mean, we're all small business owners. All of us are probably service based, not everybody, but that service is your opportunity to serve with something that you know very well, gifts, skills, talents, abilities that you were given to show up and help others with because they come easily to you. Selling is serving. If you're not sharing that with people, if you're not telling them about how you can help them, then you're not really doing what you said you wanted to do, which is help others because you're making it about how you feel. And listen, the bottom line is to be a business owner, there's a lot of things you're going to have to learn, and some of it's going to be really uncomfortable. And we have to be willing to get uncomfortable and take some of those risks in order to fulfill this passion that we really have to help others.
I love that. There are so many things that you said that I was like, I totally agree. That's so awesome. We're like so similar in so many ways. And I think one of the biggest things that I want to talk about with you is what are the biggest challenges that you
Mhm.
see entrepreneurs face? Because we're all trying to make more sales, because of course that's the lifeblood of our business. But what do you think those challenges are?
Great question. One of the things that I see people doing is distracting themselves from what they are afraid to do with other tasks and things that they feel productive with. That's really just a distraction from what they really need to be doing. Right. So I've got to get my Pinterest strategy in order before I can sell anything. I've got to launch my website and I'm still working on it with my website designer before I can be official and put anything out into the world. I've got to know what my Facebook group name is before I can actually put it out there and get started. I mean, we could go on and on and on with the list. Those are irrelevant to you helping people. And in the meantime, people are dying. Now, that may be really dramatic. Who I serve is health and wellness entrepreneurs. And so that's why I say it like that. This is actually the difference between life and death in many ways with what you're helping people with. And so when you're focused on, I need this website to be up and running before I can help people, the website doesn't give you any better ability to help people. It's a distraction that makes you feel good because you're doing something, but it's not actually a revenue generating activity. And if you aren't generating revenue in your business, then you don't have a business. You have a really expensive hobby, and eventually that's going to stop because you're going to have to put food on the table and pay your rent, which means you are not helping people anymore. You're not doing that big, beautiful vision that you set out to do. And to me, that's one of the things that takes people out of the game is they distract themselves with things that aren't actually moving the needle in their business, but it feels productive. So they think that they're doing something. Another mistake that I see so often as entrepreneurs, we're visionaries. I mean, let's be honest. We're not typically the implementers. We're the visionaries. We're the ones who have these big, beautiful visions and these exciting, ideas. And what we fall victim to is the bright, shiny object syndrome of trying to do too many things all at once, right? We've got to start simple and we've got to start small and we've got to stay focused on one goal. And it's kind of like wash, rinse, repeat with that one thing until you get that down. And then you can start to add things into what you're doing. So that's another mistake that I guess that people, they just try to do all of it at once. The other thing with bright, shiny object syndrome that I see happen a lot is kind of like with the diet culture, how you see people go, oh, it's that diet, it's that diet, it's that diet, it's that diet. And that's the bright, shiny object syndrome, that basically they're just distracting themselves and keeping themselves stuck where they are. And we as entrepreneurs do that many times with freebies or coaches or systems. It's like, oh, that's my answer. That's my answer. And what I think is really funny in my industry, again, with health and wellness people, is they don't want to sell a magic pill to anybody because we know that a magic pill doesn't exist in health and wellness. Yet as entrepreneurs, they want the magic pill. They want the silver bullet. And I'm like, well, there's not one. There's no just fast answer, right? And I think a lot of people take themselves out of the game and they go, oh, this isn't meant for me because it didn't happen fast enough.
I agree. I think too, a lot of people's like destination procrastination is courses. Like I hear a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I need to take the next course because I've got to learn how to do this." And I'm always like, eventually you're gonna have to actually do it. Like you're not gonna be able to like continue to learn. I mean, we want to learn consistently, but also you've got to get out and do the thing because there's just some things that you have to learn by doing. And I think it's important to like, what would you say to a business owner that was thinking it's not possible to reach their sales goals like consistently every single month?
Well, first of all, then they're right.
Right.
I mean, I know that sounds pretty simple,
I
but the
know.
truth is, once you've made that decision that it's not possible, you're right. You're absolutely right. Our reality is whatever we believe. And I know it's like, well, then I just believe that but if you really don't believe it, if that's just lip service, there's some energetic work and some embodiment of what you're saying that you believe that's really important. So, there's a lot of things I could say if somebody's doubting whether their sales goals are possible. And the first one I would say is if you have that doubt, then that's why that they're not happening. The other thing is we need to take a realistic look at, well, what are you doing that's not bringing you the results right now? And where can we refine some things? So sometimes it's just flipping the switch on how we perceive it, what our beliefs are, and then just really looking at what are you doing. And kind of like what you said earlier, if they're trying to do too many things all at once and they're not staying focused on that goal, that's probably why that goal isn't being reached, because you're actually diverting your attention to other things besides just that goal.
Yeah, I think I love that idea of like testing and tweaking. So you're
Mhm.
gonna do a little thing and then we're gonna tweak it. I think that's probably the best way to get where you're going as fast as possible is just by getting out there, doing it, and then just making those micro adjustments could be huge. Now I want to revert back because this is something that I think that people really fear is about being salesy.
Mhm.
So what would your suggestion be if people were like, well, I have this fear of being salesy or pushy. I don't want to, I don't want to be too aggressive. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Most of the time, there's a confidence piece and a worthiness piece there, that because here's the thing. I always tell people, well, if you're selling a TV to a blind man, then maybe you're being a little salesy because he doesn't need it. If you're selling ice to a polar bear, then you're selling a polar bear something that he doesn't need, right? So are you selling people something that they don't need? Are you selling them, shit on a stick? Pardon my French. And if that's the case, then I agree with you. You're being salesy because you're selling people things that they don't need. And if you legit believe in your service and the results that you're able to help people achieve, and I mean, let's be real, all of us have imposter syndrome. All of us have that come up. Like, I remember a couple months ago, I was reading a quote from J Lo, right? I mean,
Right.
hello, body goals. Hello. Like, she has it. She was like, I've sold millions of stadiums and millions of albums, and still I wonder if I'm not enough. We all have it. But we can't let that take us out of the game. Again, we have to say, or we have to see what our vision is, and it's helping people, it's serving people. And when we let our own fears and insecurities take us out of the game, then we're not fulfilling that path. So I think more than anything, that confidence in what you're selling is important. And sometimes that comes by doing, not sometimes, but all the time. And so if you're doubting, if you're feeling salesy, you have to ask yourself, are you selling something that people don't need? Or are you selling something that can legit change somebody's life? And if you know it can legit change somebody's life, then why do you feel salesy? Aren't you actually selling something to somebody that's going to completely change and up level their life? And if that's the case, what's salesy about it?
Absolutely. I think that's such a good point.
Well, and being in reality with, here's the other thing, and people never like this. They never like hearing this. The majority of people don't need what you have. And all I mean by that is you're going to hear a lot more no's than you hear yeses, right? Your ideal client is not everybody in their brother. Your ideal client is not all 7.8 billion people on the planet. Now, you might want to argue with me, yeah, but Nicole, everybody needs meditation if you're a meditation coach. Yeah, but Nicole, everybody needs yoga and movement in their life. Sure, but do they want it? Right? Like there's some
Oh,
things in my life right now that I'm sure people could look at me and go, yeah, you need this. I don't want it.
right.
So we have to also get like this understanding. You're being salesy if you're pushing something on somebody that they don't actually want. And there's a fine line between, I use this example a lot. If I can share this with you, I think it'll serve the community really well. We have to use our discernment as the salesperson between what's really going on for that person. Because some people are like, I don't want to push people. Like if I'm in a sales conversation, I don't want to push them. So the analogy I use is skydiving. And I say, okay, here's the thing. People that go skydiving, they decide that they want to go. They pay the money. They book the appointment. They go to the place. They sign the waiver. They suit up. They willingly get on the plane. So far, and the door opens up. They're going, oh God. Oh God. Now remember, they've said yes to everything up to that point. They've willingly gotten themselves to that point right there. But all of a sudden, when push comes to shove, it's a long way down there. And they're in a perfectly good airplane that could land them safely without having to jump out of the damn plane. So they're reevaluating in that moment, not because they don't want to jump. Has nothing to do with them not wanting to do it. It has everything to do with now the fears are there. Oh God, I'm looking down. I'm looking down. How are they going to get out of that plane? Well, there's an instructor there with them. We, as the small business owner, are the skydiving instructor in that moment. And we get to use our discernment. We get to decide, has that person changed their mind? Are they screaming bloody murder that they don't want to jump out of the plane? Then that's okay to say, you know what? It sounds like it might not be the right time for you to do the skydiving thing. Go ahead and stay back there. No worries at all. We'll land safely. But they also might feel this, I know you really want to do this, but I get why you're afraid. Can I help you say yes to what you really want to do? That's us not being salesy, not being pushy, not being aggressive, hearing somebody's truth and seeing the version of themselves that they really want to be and helping them say yes to that version. That's not pushy. That's in service to that person.
I love it. I mean, I think that's the perfect example of exactly what you were talking about. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that leads me into like the perfect segue into my next question, which is about personal growth. So it's something that, as entrepreneurs, we, research a lot, we take a lot of courses, we do all the things. But what do you think personal growth, do you think that has anything to do with growing our businesses and getting more sales?
Mm-hmm. I don't think your first couple of years of entrepreneurship have anything to do with growing your business. I think it has everything to do with your own personal development journey. And if you don't focus on that first and foremost, you are going to take yourself out of the game because when shit hits the fan, you're not going to know how to handle it. And a big part of being an entrepreneur is the self-development journey. And without
Learning how
that,
to,
you're just going to really, your vulnerabilities, your insecure. I mean, so, Jill, so much of this journey is, I like to say, new level, new devil. As soon as you think you have something figured out, you get to the next level and another insecurity pops up, another fear pops up, another visibility thing comes up. It's all part of the growth And the biggest part of the growth is you developing as a person, because it's the person you become or need to become to be that level of successful entrepreneur that you're trying to get to.
I totally agree. I always tell people too that to become an entrepreneur, you kind of have to be half crazy and you have to learn how to play dodgeball really well because you're like the first couple of years you're bobbing and weaving and you're just trying to figure everything out and make sure that like you just keep your head above water. So
Yep.
I totally agree with you on that. That the first
Yeah.
couple of years you're right. You have
Yep.
to you got to make figure out how to make it work.
And make yourself work and recommit
Yeah.
every single day. There's going to be days where, I tell my clients sometimes, I'm like, there's going to be days where you're like, and I have no problem with people who work at Starbucks at all, but working at Starbucks is not my dream. My dream is to be an entrepreneur. But for me, there's days where I'm like, you know what, today's the day I just go apply at Starbucks and make lattes all day. That sounds way better than all of
Absolutely.
this stuff, bobbing and weaving, because there are hard days. So you need to be so committed to why you want to do this. And you need to be able and willing to recommit every day, sometimes every minute. Sometimes
Amen to that.
minute by minute that you got to recommit to this, because it does not, you get 17 no's in a day and you're like, all right, fine. It doesn't always feel good. It's not all rainbows and unicorns, but at the end of the day, I like to tell people you get two choices in life. You can either go after your dreams or you can go after your not dreams. I mean, it's as simple as that. You're either going after your dreams or your not dreams. And either path you choose has challenges. Which challenges do you want to deal with? The ones that are attached to your dreams? Or because some people are like, oh, this feels really scary. I'm just going to go back to safety and security and I'm going to do the shit that I really hate and I don't want to do. And what? That's got challenges too. And you don't want to do it. What makes you think that those challenges are going to be ones that you're going to want to commit to? You won't. And you're going to be miserable. And it's going to reveal itself in your health, in your happiness, in your relationships. And it's a path that you really don't want to be on. This one's going to have challenges, but it's got your dreams attached to it. So on your hardest day, remind yourself, yeah, this challenge isn't fun. This isn't my favorite day that I've had in my business, but it's on the path to what I really want to do.
Totally. And the other thing too, like when I meet with people that are trying to make that jump from being an employee to an entrepreneur, people, are like, "Oh my gosh, this route is so risky." And I'm like, "Actually, for me it's the opposite. Risk
Mhm.
is going into your employer's office tomorrow and you not getting to work there anymore because they're just like, "Sorry, you're out." And starting over versus entrepreneurship is something that you can control.
Yep.
You decide how many hours you want to work, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's so it's
You bring up a good point, is really tough for people. And
yeah.
in scaling your small business, that is a challenge that people have, is being their own boss. And, I've worked with a lot of people that are like, yeah, but I have trouble holding myself accountable every day to what I know I need to do. Okay, then go and give up your power and have somebody else tell you what to do. How does that feel? I bet you'll figure it out real fast, right? And
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
muscles that you're building. Like, that's the thing that I remind people. This is not hard, it's new. It's just new. Are parts of it hard? Sure. Are parts of it challenging? Yes. But it's new. I used to be a math teacher and my kids would come in and they'd be like, Miss Cramer, it's so hard. I'm like, have you ever watched a little 1-year-old learn how to walk? They feel the same way about walking. And right now you're not even thinking about how hard it was to walk, because it's not. It's just new for you. And so when we're trying something new, we've got to be really kind to ourselves around it and understand that we're not going to catch on right away. And there are new muscles that you're building that you've never had to use, because being an entrepreneur is something you've never done.
Absolutely. And I think too, what are your thoughts about mindset? Like, because we've talked a little bit about it, but I
Mhm.
think it's super important when you're, building your business. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's everything. I really do. I don't think, like, if we had to break it down into percentages, I would say 90% of this is mindset and 10% of it is strategy, because any strategy is going to work if you work it. It really is. It's like any diet is going to work if you commit to it and apply yourself to it. And listen, I work with health and wellness people. I'm not a fan of diets, but that's the truth. Like, any diet is going to work if you dedicate yourself to it. And so strategy is what I like to say. Are there some strategies that some of us have figured out that work pretty well? Yeah. But that isn't as important as your mindset and your belief. It's like what you said earlier, Jill, to the person who says, well, I don't think it's possible to make my sales goals this month. Then it's not. Your mindset will take you out of the game or keep you in it. So I would say more than anything, you've got to work on your mindset. And that's part of the personal development journey that we were talking about earlier, because you've got to become a different version of you in order to do something you've never done. And a big piece of that is mindset and the belief that you can.
Do you think that there's specific things that you could share with our listeners that support like that mindset journey?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Invest in yourself, hire a coach. This is not, doctor does not perform surgery on herself, right? You are not meant to go through this alone. I would highly, highly recommend you don't try to be a solopreneur. And why not invest in yourself to work with somebody who has already walked the path that you're looking to walk? They have the map, they know the way. They don't have your answers, but they can sure as heck guide you and keep you in the game and show you some things that you don't know at the level that you're at. So honestly, my number one for me, what changed the game for me is investing in myself. And that can mean a bunch of different things. Maybe that means investing in a coach. Maybe that means investing in whatever your success team is, therapists, mentors, guides, but invest yourself financially, time wise, into things that are going to improve you as a person.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So, one question that I always ask everybody that I have on the podcast is what is the number one piece of advice that you would give to our listeners when they struggle to get to the next level of growth in their business?
The shift for me, the game changer for me, is when I stopped fighting for my limitations and started putting that same energy into my possibilities. So most of the time when you're stuck at a certain level, it has to do with your mindset. It has to do with your beliefs that you have around not being able to get to the next level. And what you're looking at is all the evidence for why you can't. Because when you don't have the belief, then you're collecting evidence to support that belief. So when we see that, it's like two sides of the same coin. You either get to fight for your limitations or fight for your possibilities. You can see it through either lens, but I can assure you, when you continue to see it through the lens of your limitations, you will continue to see more limitations. They'll still be there, but when you see, hey, here's what's possible. I'm not available for what's not possible. I'm only available for what is possible. The other stuff is still there. It's just you're not giving attention to it. So it's not a part of your journey anymore. You're just available for seeing what you can do, not what you can't.
That's so awesome.
That was a game changer for me.
Yeah, that is. It's about that perspective shift that if you're looking for something, you're going to find it.
You're going to find it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're going to find exactly what you're looking for to support your beliefs, and it's going to keep you stuck. And most of the time, that's exactly what your fears want you to do. They want you to stay small. They want you to stay stuck because that's where you're safe. That's where you've been kept alive. And why change? That's what your ego is saying. Why change? We've always been okay right here. And so a lot of that is not looking at that anymore in what you can't do. Look at what you can do and only stay available for that.
Oh, I love that. I am so excited that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us today. There's been so much that I have loved chatting with you about, but share where people can find you, what you've got, what you're working on, where people can check you out.
Yeah, thank you. It's been amazing being here. I say this, I nerd out on talking about sales and mindset and everything else with what we do as entrepreneurs, because it's so exciting when somebody really steps into their fullest expression and goes after their dreams. So thank you for allowing me to be here and share what I know to help people do that. So if everybody is excited about being a part of my world, I would love for you to follow me on Instagram at Healthy Steps with Nicole. I also have a Facebook group that is for health and wellness entrepreneurs, and we do sales and money mindset trainings every week for free. I go live in there. It's called Nicole's Sales Superstars. And I also have a free gift that I'd love to offer everyone. It is a training called 33 Places to Find Clients. So for any small business owner that is wondering, where the heck are my clients? Where do I find more of them? This training, it's 45 minutes long. It comes with a workbook. I'd love to offer it to your community for free so that they can check it out and really take action and get out there, because the last thing I want is for people to sit around and go, okay, I listened to another podcast. Cool. No, get out there and do something about it. And my training, I'm guessing we'll put it in the show notes. I'll give the link so that everybody can download that. And yeah, I hope they take it and use it, because what I tell people all the time, please listen to my free advice. I want you to. I'm only going to have a problem if you don't go use it.
That's
That's where you and I are going to
exactly
have a problem.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're all about here is doing those quick, short, actionable items. And I will include everything in the show notes for anybody that is interested in checking out Nicole and all of the things that she is doing all over the internet. So, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. And for everybody else, we'll see you next week.